to address the audience.
Mr. Sinha, Chairman of Bandhan Bank, Mr. Chandrasekhar Ghosh, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming to this press conference at very short notice. I'm going to say a few words and then leave all the technical details to the experts who are sitting on the stage. Maybe this is the effect of the marriage season. But to me, the merger of Gruh Finance into Bandhan Bank feels like a marriage. Perhaps Gruh is the bride to the Bandhan family. One could say it is a semi-arranged match. Mr. Ghosh did approach me initially with this idea, but of course one has to leave it to the bride and the groom to figure it out about compatibility. Let me be clear that this is only an agreement to marriage. The marriage will only be solemnized only if it gets all the statutory and necessary regulatory approvals. On a more serious note, there was deep introspection for this transaction by all parties concerned. In all my years of experience, I have come to realize that mergers work only if they are truly beneficial to the shareholders, all the stakeholders, customers, as well as all the employees. Mergers are always complex. Mergers always take time, but the sum of the whole should always be more than the sum of parts in the long run. Yet it is not just numbers that drive a merger, it is the conviction and the vision of the combined entity. In these increased volatile times, businesses have to think out of the box and long term. They have to plan for the future, find answers to key questions, like how should businesses be delivering more value with limited resources? What is the optimum strategy to scale up operations? How should balance sheet be strengthened? How should balance sheets be fortified to tide over unforeseen risks? And what needs to be done to consistently enhance shareholder value? Reflecting on the current environment today, I have to say that I have never been more optimistic about housing as I am today. And I have repeatedly said that since the last 1 year. The government has given a strong thrust to housing, which is reaping benefits now. Housing spurs so many other industries in the economy. Developers, as you know, can now avail 100% tax deduction on profits and gains if they construct only affordable homes. No other major sector in India has got this incentive as housing construction for affordable people. Nothing can be better for the Indian economy than the increased supply of homes at affordable prices. And recently, the introduced government policy of CLSS, Credit-Linked Subsidy Scheme, is enabling first-time homeowners to own a home. The upfront benefit of around 2.5 lakhs per beneficiary is hugely beneficial for customers availing a loan. The continued commitment of the government towards housing is evident with the recent extension of the timelines for CLSS on home loans. Over the last 2 years, we at HDFC have been recognized for the contribution towards CLSS scheme and were awarded the best performing primary lending institution in the economically weaker section and the LIG group, low income group, and the second best in the MIG group. Today, all lending institutions want to do housing finance. With this merger, it becomes a win-win situation wherein Gruh will benefit by being able to achieve significant scale and expand in new geographies. And Bandhan will be able to build up a more diversified and secured lending portfolio. Under the able leadership of Sudhin Choksi and his team, Gruh has a pristine loan book and he and his team deserves kudos for this. In equal measure, Mr. Chandrasekhar Ghosh has proved his mettle in building a strong commercial bank in a short span of time. He's been able to raise 33,000 crores in deposits in less than 3 years. That is his record in Bandhan. Today, they will create one of India's largest rural and semi-urban lending platform. As I mentioned, we at HDFC are scaling up our affordable home portfolio. With Gruh merging into Bandhan, this transaction mitigates any potential conflict of interest within the HDFC group that could arise due to overlap of targeting the same customer and the same location. Change always brings an element of uncertainty, but when work cultures are similar and business ethics are similar, which we see with both Gruh and Bandhan, it gives me confidence of a bright future. Bringing two parties to merge is no easy task. I would like to express my sincere thanks to the board of directors of both Bandhan and Gruh, all the advisors, and there's a long list of advisors, and most importantly, the staff members of Bandhan, Gruh, and HDFC, who together with the advisors have burnt a lot of midnight oil, particularly in the last 10 days, to ensure that necessary timelines have been adhered to. Once again, thank you for joining this, and I now request Chandrasekhar Ghosh to say a few words.
Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you, sir. Industry leader, Sri Deepak Parekh, which given that the total issue have been discussed in front of you. Thank you, our new chairman, Dr. Anup Sinha, and the Gruh chairman, our Sri K.K. Mistry, and MD Shudin Chokshi, and also the madam, Renu madam is here. I given that from Bandhan part of that to artist, the Happy New Year to all of you, and thank you media, our team, and the Gruh team. Again, I've been thank you to media. Your very short notice, you have been given your time to come to listen us. And thank you again for a lot of call you have been done, but not maybe come to the responded. I'm saying that it is sorry for that. But finally, after all discussion, all of debate and that, finally the Bandhan Bank Limited and Gruh Financial Limited, both the board have approved today to merge together, and subject to regulatory, shareholders, and other approvals which is needed to merge on that. And it will be effect from 1st January 2019. You know that the Bandhan Bank, it is very well known in your hand. We started as a bank 3 years before. We are till now is a near to toddler. And though we have the experience of the microfinance practice in the last 18 years, and then convert it as a bank on that. The beginning of the bank and also last 3 years experience, we have been made some strategy of the bank, how bank can be grow in future. So in that sense, the first point we have been strategically decided, our growth should be diversified, not only specific in microfinance, unsecured, short-term credit. So this is the one diversifying, we feel that is a need for our bank to grow. Second is there, you also many times ask on that, how much of my microfinance book have been come down? Now, every quarter result you are asking on that. This is because of the unsecured. That is the one second question. And we are decided how we can strategically divide on that. Some portion of the secured portfolio will come to the book. Third is there every time people asking concentration risk in the Eastern. So how you diversify it? So this is also we are told before on that. We are strategically decided how we can be diversified geographically. And our growth, of course, it is not only the organic, it is also in the inorganic. These are the 4 parameters we decided in a bank and to grow in future, whatever we have been growth now. So then next we have been come these opportunities and already mentioned our honorable industry leader, Mr. Deepak Parekh. That is the Gruh Finance Limited. So why grow? So that all answer of the strategy are aligned with this. If we see that both have a good brand and retail brand, and rural and semi-urban area, we are more focused as a Bandhan, as a Gruh. So we hope that this is in best governance practice also, brand name as a Bandhan, brand name as a HDFC, coming together to serve the country people who are living bottom of the pyramid and change the economy of the country and change the bottom of the pyramid family. It is the main, I hope that like to achieve when these two work together. And customer segment are the main, I say that they're very similar to customer segment. The Gruh is an affordable housing, and we are in a microfinance. Microfinance is a business credit, affordable housing given the shelter. So when it has been merged, so affordable housing, those have already shelter, they need the money for business, Bandhan can be provided. And Bandhan have that the very good number of customers, which are only they are taking the loan and business doing on that. The Gruh can provide as a shelter. I hope that this is a very good combination to business preposition for future also on that. Third is there, if you see that our portfolio is in advance, if I say that our microcredit is in 86% of the microcredit portfolio, 86% microcredit portfolio. When it will be merged, you see that our microcredit portfolio come as a 58%. And that means our secured portfolio has come 42%. So earlier, my 86% portfolio are unsecured. Now it has been balanced. More or less, both are 50-50 on that. I hope that this is a big opportunities for this merger. And other point, if you see that always the microcredit loan, average loan tenure is a 1.5 years. 1 to 2 years, very short-term loan. So in these all loans, if we see that our major loan is in less than 1 year. But when you go to this, the Gruh Finance, and their credit is in more than 3 years. So when these two are coming together, work on that, so then our balance sheet have been saying that the short-term portfolio, long-term portfolio, it is a good balance of the balance sheet on that. So I feel that this is, and third point, if we see that the branch network, we have, as of now, if we see that we have the 978 bank branches in Bandhan, and we have the doorstep service center, more than 3,000. And this is a network. And this network in the eastern region is more. And the Gruh is in west and the center. And their network is 194 is there. When together as a come as in banking outlet, that is come at the 4,182. So this is also helped on that work together. That means the one can be reached to the other network, other can be reached to this network, and then it will be like to business opportunities will come up on that. So all these the merger, it will be helped on that, and HDFC will be like to take in the 15% in the Bandhan Bank, and subject to RBI approval on that. I feel that it will be very good combination, and we'll work together. There is a good team. If you see that the microcredit, we have that before the bank, we have the team 13,000 employees, and these people have been converted NBFC as a bank, and they Gruh also have that the more than 600 employees and a good number of team who are working Gruh in the last 20 years, more than 20 years. So this is a very good resource, both the side on that. And the bank side also there is a good resource. And these two types of skilled, experienced resource come together, and market is huge in India. I hope that we can change the society, economy of the country on that. So this is in both the side, I feel that very, very good opportunities. And coming to this, the deposit part on that, last 3 years, we have been generated on that, the nearly 33,000 crores deposit. And that deposit, many of the demand is there because we are more on the retail. And as per the September, we saw that there is an 82% of our deposit is a retail. So that is opportunities we also see the more. So that when this March will be happen, and their cash flow is in point of view, deposit by the deposit, it will be very good opportunities to grow that entity and reach to more people with that opportunities. I feel that very good, and this is not the end, but just the first step, and we'll waiting for that all the related approvals and regulators approval, and finally we like to work together on that. We need all of your help. Thank you to all of you again, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. I'd request Mr. K.K. Mistry now to address the audience.
Mr. Sinha, Mr. Ghosh, my colleagues from HDFC, Deepak Renu, my managing director from Gruh, Sudhin Choksi, ladies and gentlemen from the press. Good evening to all of you, and once again, thank you very much for coming here at such short notice. Today marks an eventful day. The Board of Directors of Bandhan Bank and Gruh Finance Limited had their respective meetings held today, approved the merger of Gruh Finance and Bandhan Bank. The proposed transaction would be subject to shareholder, regulatory, and other approvals as may be applicable. We believe that there are strong synergies between the two financial entities. What excites us in particular is that this merger will create one of India's largest lending platforms for rural and semi-urban financial products and services. What distinguishes this merger from others in the banking and financial services sector is that this is a combination of two strong financial entities, each of whom is a prominent player in its chosen product segment and who will now have the opportunity to leverage off each other's strengths. This will be the largest merger ever in India of two unaffiliated financial services entities. As far as Gruh is concerned, it is the pioneer of affordable housing loans in India. It is a AAA-rated deposit-taking housing finance company. On a 5-year CAGR basis, Gruh's loan book growth has been 23% and profit after tax growth has been 20%. Asset quality has been Gruh's key strength. Gross non-performing loans have consistently been under 1% and as at 31st March 2018 have been fully provided for. Much of Gruh's stellar performance is attributed to the leadership of its managing director, Mr. Sudhin Choksi, as well as his entire team of professionals. Naturally, given Gruh's successful business model, investors have accorded a significant premium to its valuation compared to its peers. The strengths of Bandhan Bank are well known, especially in the way it has been able to quickly build up a strong current and savings deposits base, which stands at par with some of the best Indian banks. Both Gruh and Bandhan Bank have consistently reported strong financial performance, whether measured in terms of the high return on equity, the low cost-to-income ratio, or the low non-performing loans. Both Bandhan and Gruh have niche, customer-centric business models. Both have deep penetration in their key geographies. Gruh has a strong presence in the West, while Bandhan has a deep penetration in the East and Northeastern regions of the country. Also, both institutions are driven by the vision of financial inclusion. The two institutions therefore complement each other. Bandhan Bank has experience in unsecured lending, particularly microfinance, while Gruh has decades of experience in asset-based lending. Let me highlight some of the key issues that the Board of Directors of Gruh considered. The proposed merger would enable Gruh to replicate its deep penetration in new geographies where Bandhan Bank has a strong distribution network. This could not have been possible for Gruh as a standalone entity. Secondly, the challenges of raising resources at competitive rates to fund the housing finance business gets abated with access to low-cost current and savings accounts of the bank. Thirdly, there are very few instances in the Indian financial system where opportunities of consolidation of two strong financial entities arise. It was thus clearly in Gruh's interest to seize this opportunity. Now, for HDFC being the largest shareholder, there were some further considerations. First was the natural affinity for the company, as HDFC was one of the promoters of Gruh in 1986. In fact, Gruh was the vision of our late founder, Chairman Shri H.D. Parekh. In evaluating this merger proposal, HDFC as a parent company had to take a more dispassionate stance in the interest of all stakeholders of Gruh. When we assessed a way forward for the company, we came to the conclusion that no other alternative would give Gruh the ability to scale up operations better than the platform that Bandhan Bank was offering. Further, HDFC itself is increasing its own footprint in affordable housing loans. For instance, in the first half of the current financial year, 37% of HDFC's home loan approvals in volume terms and 18% in value terms have been to customers from the economically weaker section or the low-income group. And as a parent company, HDFC would prefer to avoid any potential conflict of interest within its own group companies, which could arise if in the future there were to be significant market and customer segment overlap. Bandhan Bank is well capitalized and is growing rapidly, but most importantly, we do believe there is compatibility in terms of the work culture and ethos. Core values, customer centricity, business ethics, and a common mission towards social responsibility are overriding factors for this merger. As you would appreciate, many aspects of the detailed merger and integration contours will evolve in due course. To reiterate, the companies are contemplating a merger under the scheme of amalgamation under the Companies Act, and hence there will be no open offer. The due diligence has been completed and the independent valuation reports and fairness opinions have been accepted by the boards of the concerned companies. This merger is, of course, subject to approval from regulators, shareholders, and all other approvals as are necessary. The merger ratio, the exchange ratio as accepted by the boards of Bandhan Bank and Gruh Finance is as follows. 568 equity shares of face value of rupees 10 each of Bandhan Bank Limited would be issued for every 1,000 equity shares of face value of rupees 2 each of Gruh Finance Limited. The share exchange ratio implies a 2.05% premium to the shareholders of Gruh based on the volume-weighted average prices of Bandhan and Gruh over the 26-week period ended last Friday, that is January 4th. To conclude, any potential consolidation has to ultimately be driven by the objective or whether it is value accretive for all stakeholders. In our view, all entities involved in this transaction will gain on this account. We may have challenges ahead, but we look forward with optimism and stand committed to contribute meaningfully towards India's financial inclusion agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sirs. It's now the favorite time, which is questions time. So, one by one, please.
Mr. Parekh, I have the mic. Mr. Parekh, hi, Nisha Podar from CNBC TV 18. Many congratulations on announcing this particular transaction. You did say it was to avoid any overlaps in the businesses that HDFC Limited is already into. Is there any other reason it could have also merged Gruh Finance with itself? So was there no other option and to sell the company? And on the other hand, there was also a point made by Mr. Ghosh that you would be interested in keeping 15% stake in the merged entity. Would you be shedding over and above 10% as per the RBI guidelines, or would you pursue the regulator to give you that waiver?
On your second question, we will have to apply to Reserve Bank and see what their response is. As you know, a non-bank can hold up to 9.9% shares. And by this merger swap ratio, we end up a little under 15%. So we will request RBI, otherwise we will have to sell the balance to come down to 9.9. And don't forget, even for 9.9, we need RBI permission, because up to 5% it is automatic, and more than 5 you require RBI approval. So we will approach RBI after this. Shareholders have to approve the merger first. So we'll talk to the regulators. That's why everyone has stressed that this is just an announcement subject to all approvals. We need the shareholders' approval. We need Competition Commission's approval. We need RBI's approval. We'll have to inform National Housing Bank because Gruh is regulated by NHB. So there are a number of approvals which we require. So that is my response to that.
Yes.
On your first question, yes, we see that after the PMAY, Prime Minister Awaaz Yojana, and particularly the CLSS, we are also, as Keki gave you the numbers, 38% of the numbers are the LIG and the EWS and LIG group.
Of course.
Where the loans are about 12 lakhs to 10 lakhs, 8-10 lakhs, which is really the Gruh's average is about 8-9 lakhs. So, and Gruh is very strong in Western India, and we are also very strong in Western India. So there could be a conflict in future if, and the government is extended the subsidy scheme by 1 more year. And the developers, we see developers across India looking at more affordable construction of more affordable homes because the demand is more in that segment, in that category. So it was to avoid that, we thought that this could be a good opportunity both for us and for Bandhan also.
There's no reason that the regulator does not want same businesses to be subsidiarized. Is there any such reason for
I don't think so.
I
don't think so, but at least for the banking side, you know, the Reserve Bank does not allow banks to have subsidiaries.
Right.
So this could not be sold. Bandhan could not buy Gruh as a subsidiary of Bandhan Bank because that would not be permitted under the existing laws.
All right. Mr. Ghosh, yes, Mr.
No, I just
Mistry.
want to respond a little to your first question.
Yes.
When you said that the objective of the merger is conflict of interest for HDFC, that is just one of the many, many reasons.
Right.
I think the most important reason is that the merger will create truly a very large rural and semi-urban lending platform.
Right.
Secondly, the synergies of the merger are huge. From Gruh's point of view, Gruh will have access to the wide geography that Bandhan operates. It will have access to low-cost funding, which is typically what a bank would have compared to what a housing finance company would have. From Bandhan's perspective, they get access to Gruh's systems, which have been time-tested over the last so many decades and which have worked so very, very successfully. Also, from Bandhan's standpoint, they will get a presence in the western part of the country where Gruh is so strong. So when you look at all the synergies, these synergies would not necessarily have been applicable had there been a merger between Gruh and HDFC.
So organically, you will grow this segment of your business at HDFC. Mr. Ghosh, this brings down your promoter shareholding in the bank to about 61% from around 82%. But you still have a long way to go to reach the 40% mark as per the RBI's guidelines. What are the future steps that you're going to take?
You see that this is very much a strategic things. So we have been just started on that. And this amount have been, if you say that the 82 come to 61, 21% is a big amount. We just started on that. We'll see that future how it can be.
A timeline, if you can give us sense of the timeline, because the intent is there, so I'm sure the RBI would be considering.
There is that point we cannot be disclosed on that.
And Mr. Choksi's role also going forward, he's been a very, very strong leader in Gruh Finance. So post the merger, how will the integration as well as Mr. Choksi's role be defined in the new company?
If you see that the Bandhan started as a microfinance, come to the bank, and all of our team are working in the bank. But there is a one vertical, micro banking, new vertical developed from general banking. So there is a lot of things is there. So when the Gruh is coming on that, we are not expert on that. No, and Mr. Choksi and team is an expert to drive that. So they will continue in their way to do.